Today's video comes to us compliments from someone who sent me a private message on my Facebook page. And they say, I have a lot of ladies that come to me frustrated because the local studio here charges anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 per comp for pro-am competition. They really want to dance and compete, but they make it so hard in charging these prices. And they're just asking what I think about this. Okay, so number one, I do know that some pros charge this much, but given the area, the country that they said they are from, which I'm not going to share here because I'm afraid I'm going to out these individual studios and instructors, my concern is I don't know of any really highly trained coaches there whose level of skill would be commensurate with said prices. So to me, not knowing the exact characters involved, it seems, to put it gently, okay, well, I'm just not on board with this at all. I'm just trying to be nice here. I think it's a crazy ticket price. I can't help but wonder. Okay, first of all, is this pro just taking her for a ride and saying that's what the studio charges? Obviously, if they are an employee, whether it's a chain or independent, then the studio is establishing that price for everyone, and they actually have absolutely no control. But as I've shared in a previous video, I have seen some real shady pros tell a certain student that they think has deep pockets, oh, this is what I charge for competition. And then when they get a student in that's young and beautiful and broke, they're like, suddenly the price drops 90%. To say that I am disgusted by this would be an understatement, but I'm just sharing some ugly things I've seen. Most pros don't do this, friends, and the odds are your pro's not doing this, but I'm just guessing kind of what could be going on in this particular situation. It's possible, even if they aren't a skilled dancer, if this dude is totally fully booked, maybe he's just calling the herd, because in my opinion, at least for me, physically, I am not going to dance as well if I am dancing a bajillion rounds. And I really want to be full on there for that student. And I want to look my best. I want my student to look their best. And I can't do that if I'm out there dragging booty exhausted. So it's possible, they would know this more than I would. Is this person just crazy fully booked and has this huge harem of dancers he's bringing? And sadly, I do see, not always, but usually money trumps talent, okay? So I do see many pros will prioritize the student that is willing to spend the most money on them over one that perhaps has more potential or has been taken from the longer term, or whatever the circumstances are. And we saw this in the reality TV show Dancing Queens when Claudette's pro partner dumped her for his other pro-am student, Pooja, who, when I watched the rounds, was clearly not the Latin dancer that Claudette was. But she got that kind of gold pro-am cherry spot because she just dropped a lot of money, and so did her family on this pro. So Claudette definitely got the short end of the stick there, but I do see these things happening. Honestly, I don't know for sure what this pro situation is. Some of them, this person might be here on a work visa supporting, 30, poverty-stricken family members in their home country. I don't know. We never know what happens behind closed doors for sure, regardless of what the picture is that they're showing on social media. So, I don't know with the full picture. I'm just kind of guessing what I think's going on. And I think he's taking her for a ride. And my first thought is to fix this, hey, just price shop around, especially it sounds like this is a beginning level competitor. You know what? They don't need a highly trained teacher. Even if someone is justified charging those prices, if you're just dipping your toe in the shallow end of that comp pool and, you don't need a $25,000 prime experience. You know what? If you're quite wealthy, great. But most people are not, and we're trying to dance our best on a budget. But my concern is because of the way they phrase the question, the studio in this town. I'm concerned that this studio has a throttle on the whole dance community and this person has no other options. Might be worthwhile to explore driving somewhere else. If that's, because especially if they want to compete a little bit more, if that's going to save them $200,000 a year, heck, you can cover plane tickets for that price. That's just my 2 cents. And this is my larger concern in the dance sport industry, because it is an industry. It is a career for the pros. They're, although we all do it, for an absolute love and passion for it, no one goes into a career in the arts to make $1 million that I've ever known. But ultimately, it is a job for these people. And it seems to me over time that the structure, the pricing, the organizing bodies, putting a stranglehold on the small, cheap local comps to where they can't even run them anymore with the changes in rules and restrictions on judges can no longer judge there, or they'll get kicked out of the big organization, yada, yada. That dance sport is becoming increasingly singularly accessible to extremely wealthy people. And extremely wealthy retired people. Not that I have any problem with those people. Props to them. But I add retired as well because of the comp restrictions. Now, if you want to be a serious competitor, obviously you can't just compete 3 times a year. I can tell you in my hometown, when I was going up the ranks, we didn't have all these crazy restrictions and the prices were not as high. There were 11 competitions within driving distance of my home. Now, today, there's not a single comp in my state that I can send my students to. At best, they need to drive a long way to go to 2 comps, or they have to fly. And if they're serious competitors, used to be I could compete pretty much once a month and not get on a plane anywhere, not miss any work. Now you've got to fly coast to coast. This requires taking time off, which makes this not only cost prohibitive, but time prohibitive to non-retired people. What about a student? You can't just leave, you'll flunk your finals. What if you have a job and a family? You can't just dump them. You'll have disastrous consequences in the other areas of your life. And we are complete human beings. However much we wish dancing was our 100% of our life, the reality is just not the case. We all have full lives. And so it does concern me in terms of the future of our industry. And, I don't have a magic fix. I'm just sharing what I've seen in my area of the country. I hope it's totally different for you and you've got lots of comps you can just run to and you're not dropping literally hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in competition to compete with a mediocre teacher. My heart just bleeds for this person. And I'm sorry. That's really all I can say. Let me know in the comments, if you feel comfortable sharing publicly kind of what you're paying for your lessons or what you charge your students for your lessons. If you don't want your name out there on the metaverse, I get it. I respect your privacy. Hey, shoot me a private message because if anything, my curiosity, I'm always interested to hear your stories, and then I could share it here, but obviously maintain 100% of your confidentiality. And if you do comment publicly, below, don't mention the pro's name. I don't want to, virtue shame anyone publicly, but I am just curious about the larger picture, what you're paying in your area. Also, if you are competing prime elsewhere in the world, I am super curious what the going rates are because I have no idea. Although I have traveled extensively for ballroom dance in the 40 years I've been in this industry, I've only lived in my little area of the world, and I love hearing all of your stories. And the United States is a big country, like it's different all over our country, and certainly it's different all over the world. So anyway, guys, do you think this is crazy too? This seems a bit much to me, but that's me. So thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you first thing tomorrow morning for some more ballroom dance stories. Bye, guys.